everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the Social Sessions, a new episode with today's topic is tips and tricks. Out of the questions you asked me through social media, there were also a lot of questions to me about giving some advice or help on different subjects, and well, I will do my best to answer them, although I maybe not have all the answers for you. I'm gonna do my best, and well, let's start with the first question, which is from Black Sheep Knits. How to fix mistakes in knitting and especially socks? Well, I have to say in advance, I can knit, but I'm not a knitting wonder. So maybe you need to ask this question to someone else to even have a better answer. But from my experience, what I can tell you is it depends on what you want to knit. If you knit a garment or a shawl, for example, you can put a lifeline in your work, which makes it easier. If you make a mistake, you don't have to frog the whole thing and pick up all the stitches once again, because that lifeline holds your stitches together. So that might be an idea, but if you talk about knitting socks, I don't think a lifeline is gonna work. It depends on what kind of mistakes you make in the sock. If you attempt to let drop stitches a lot, yeah, it's just I think you have to be more careful. There is not really an advice to tackle that thing, because yeah, you can frog the thing and pick up stitches once again, but there is no way to prevent it besides knit slowly, take very careful attention to your work. Don't do two things aside, like watching TV and knitting socks. If you're not comfortable enough knitting without watching, I can do it, but it also has gone wrong sometimes. But a real good advice besides this I can give you, I guess. So I hope you like the answer, and if not, please find a very knitting expert on this. Maybe I knew New Leaf Designs is another lovely designer in knitting patterns, which can help you. Maybe ask her. And the next question is from Hannah Crochet Makes. Hi Hannah, you're lovely girl. She's such an adorable person. Please check her out. Her question is maybe a guest. And that's a lovely tip. For now I really have to find my way around YouTube doing this kind of things. It's a real big thing to put myself in front of a camera, making videos, expressing yourself, and get comfortable in this way. But maybe this is the last episode of the Social Sessions for now. It is a good thing to make another series with guests, and if you're available, maybe you would be my first guest. Yeah, it's a great idea and a great tip, Hannah. Thank you, and I will definitely consider doing it. So watch your DM. It will all be in place. The next question. I have here a question of Olivia Muller. Well, Olivia, let's stay to Olivia. I have problems with yokes. Do you have any tips for this, and especially in crochet garments? Well, I can only tell when crocheting garments, and especially the yokes, measurement is really key. And in my opinion, you can better have a little more stitches and measurement in yokes than don't have it, because it can be very tight or whatsoever. Just when working on yokes, probably a few stitches extra, which almost every pattern can handle, works better in the end than having it not and creating something that doesn't fit or stretch out, or well, you don't want that. But in the end, on garment, I don't have enough experience to fully tell you what is the best to do. I think this is the best advice I can give you, and well, yeah, I hope it works for you. I do wish you the best with designing your own garments and creating the best yokes ever. And maybe someone else has the best answer, and you can put it in the comments under this video. So for now, this is my answer. Then we have a question of Sunipa. Do you use crocheted articles, books? Well, let me say something about this. For sure it is okay if you design to watch an article or a book when it comes to crocheting, especially stitch guides or whatever. If you need inspiration to create an idea into a pattern, it is fine to look into designs, look into stitches, what to use, what to bring out to get the idea in the best outcome. But let me tell this, never ever start taking whole parts out of patterns, magazines, books, articles, whatsoever, because that's literally copying a thing. It's not designing, it's literally copying something out of already an existing thing. And so it's not like, okay, I'm designing a sea blanket, I take a full thing out of an article or a book and place it into my pattern, although it maybe needs more repeats, because that's not really what designing is about. For sure you can take it as an inspiration to create something you like, but I always try to stay as far as possible away from those kind of things, because I want to keep my inspiration and my way of designing as original as it can be, because then you create the most wonderful things. You the more you get influenced by other things you see, also delivers a more well, how do I say, your mind isn't clear anymore to create the best you can do. So no, I definitely not use any magazines or books or articles about crochet whatsoever. Only sometimes I want to open up a stitch guide to see if there is if I have an idea and I have to create a garment or whatsoever, or a part in a pattern which needs a texture which represents something like a cobblestone or sand, I will look into it to see if I can find a stitch which suits the theme, and that's okay, because stitches are, well, for everybody. But that is most partly the question you this is my answer to the question, probably. So no, in general, no. And then we have another question of Susan. Do you even see your designs being made for another purpose, like the Klimt? I would love to make a dress out of that pattern. Well, go ahead, Susan, it's fine by me. Sure, I always create a pattern in my vision, in my way of idea, and that can be in a shape of a blanket or a scarf or whatever. It can be anything, which is fine, there's no problem. But most of the time I try to also write down in the pattern itself how you can extend things or decrease or increase or whatsoever to create another size or what you like to do with it. And yes, then I definitely encourage you will create something of your own with it. Fine by me. Like, I made a base for the pattern, but what you do with it yourself is fine by me. The only thing I'll have to say about it is, like, it's not like you have to design a whole pattern with it in a different shape and publish it yourself, because then it wouldn't be original. You just take a pattern from me. But I don't think that is your question. It's just like, if I can see my patterns used in another way, and yes, that's fine. I already seen it a lot of times, because many people also use the mosaic tiles to create a little cardigan with no sleeves, and It's really fine, it's beautiful, and I'm totally fine with it. And people need to be creative on their own. It's not only crocheting a pattern of a designer, it's also using your own creativity to give your own touch to it. And I always support that, because I rather see someone trying to be creative and pick their own colors or make a little change about a pattern that makes it you, instead of just following up those instructions, although I understand many people just feel comfortable doing that. So both ways are fine, as long as you keep out of the line of publishing something yourself with a copy of another one's pattern in it, only you made the appearance difference to the pattern. So yes, I think that answers your question a little. And that were all the questions for the tips and tricks so far. Well, I hope I gave some good advice on some subjects, and well, the knitting things are not, for sure I can knit a lot and I can knit in a good way, but I can't give you the real advice on things like that, because my experience is too low when it comes to problem solving there. And in the end, you also must realize knitting is always harder than crocheting, because if you make a mistake, crocheting is frogging and starting over without any consequences, where knitting is really frogging but hoping you pick up the right stitches, and if you don't, you can start all over. And that makes, I guess that makes crocheting even more popular than knitting, because it's less hard to fix mistakes or do something. And that's also the reason why I chose to design especially crochet designs, because knitting is a whole other level, which is great, and knitting is an amazing technique, an amazing way of crafting, but it's a total different angle of designing. So if you want real answers for those questions, please ask them to a real professional knitter. So far the tips and tricks. This is the last episode of this social sessions. They conclude in all eight episodes all your questions. I hope you like watching all of them, and who knows, I will be back with another social sessions with some different topics, different subjects, maybe different stories, who knows. Let's see how you all find this first social sessions, and I hope you like watching them, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.